Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to address the fourth session of the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction on behalf of the United Nations Development Program and its administrator, Ms. Helen Clark. Building resilience to disasters is part of UNDP's core mandate, which, as requested by the UN General Assembly, is to strengthen and build operational capacities in natural disaster mitigation, prevention, and preparedness. Given this mandate, UNDP provides support in disaster risk reduction and recovery to an average of 50 disaster-affected countries per year. A recently published report on UNDP's contribution to the Hyogo Framework for Action details our country-level accomplishments and lessons learned since 2005. A great deal has been achieved since the Hyogo Framework for Action was endorsed. The current level of political commitment for disaster risk reduction was unthinkable only a few years ago. However, only 2 years remain until the framework expires, and it is clear that member states and organizations such as UNDP will have to work even harder to ensure that this commitment continues to translate into real protection for the people most at risk. To achieve this protection, building resilience requires sustained engagement with predictable and long-term funding support. Current setup still relies on predominantly short-term humanitarian funds. Going forward, development partners need to set aside dedicated resources to support international instruments for disaster risk reduction and recovery. This global platform offers a unique opportunity to highlight the achievements of countries, as well as discuss their challenges and lessons learned. The deliberations here are an opportunity to direct the international community in this endeavor. UNDP welcomes the United Nations Plan of Action on Disaster Risk Reduction for Resilience. In accordance with this plan, UNDP continues to support governments, UN country teams, UN resident coordinators to address disaster risk as part of comprehensive resilience building and sustainable development. Going forward, UNDP will remain focused on community and national disaster risk reduction and recovery interventions, and we will continue to provide cutting-edge advisory services on policy, legislative, and institutional reform processes, as well as establish more pronounced links between disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, poverty reduction, and conflict prevention. Good governance is central to disaster risk reduction, and there will be a strong component on this of whatever arrangement will replace the Hyogo framework. The outcome document of the Rio+20 United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, and more importantly, the ongoing process to shape the post-2015 International Agenda for Development also clearly indicate this. We welcome the call from many of the participants at this global platform to integrate disaster reduction, climate change adaptation, and sustainable development into planning frameworks and action, to build resilience at community level as well as in public and private sector development, and to strengthen an approach to the management of risk that is inclusive, especially of communities. Let us engage both here and beyond this global platform meeting to each take our responsibility for building resilience to disasters. Thank you.
Thank you very much to UNDP for your statement.